All right, so working on this iPad. This customer said I worked on it before. It's iPad 6th gen. It's just a digitizer, the outer glass that's actually cracked on this. So I'm going to open this up, replace this for them, put a new glass on it. I only have a white bezeled one, but they don't mind. It's for their child, so as long as it works, they're fine with this. So we have our Jimmy, we have two spudges here, and our Phillips 000 screwdriver, and star of the show, the heat gun. So I'm just going to heat up the iPad. Oops. All right, so we're going to start lifting from the top corner here, which I had heated. The heat, what it does is loosen the adhesive underneath. It's pretty strong adhesive that's underneath the glass. So the heat loosens it. Just gotta... Just clean up some of this. So I don't believe I've done this iPad before. No, this was never done. Still the stock adhesive on the corner. So that's what made this even harder to come out. Like I said, Apple's adhesive is very strong. Give them that much. Holds in there very well. Alright, so I like to prop up the glass. I take my bottle of alcohol, just put it right behind. And I take my screwdriver now, my Phillips 000, and there's 4 screws, 2 on each corner. Just going to unscrew this. It's probably covered over by a piece of black tape. Let's be very careful over here. Now I like to take a spudger, any type of tool, and pry at the corner of where the hole is for the screw and slightly lift it up. These iPads usually have glue. They use like a type of glue in the corner to hold them in. So just gently try to get underneath the circles on the LCD itself and slowly, gently lift them and get the bottom ones now. It's gentle. Now if you press your power button, your LCD should still be good. And it's still good. No damage to it. If there is damage, you'd have to replace it. So at this point, usually the digitizer is broken, so you can't shut it off. So we're going to remove the battery screw. And if you have a tool that can, like a plastic tool that can go underneath the battery itself, you can do that. I go underneath, right next to the connector, under the board. And I'm very, gentle when I do this. I've been doing this for years, so it's a skill I just picked up. You go underneath, separate the adhesive under the board. And this will slightly raise the board up so that it can lose connection from the battery. Because all the board does is sit on the battery. Pressing the power button, there's no connection, so that means the battery's not connected. Next I'll remove the plate that's covering the connectors for the digitizer and the LCD. These are smaller screws, but all 3 of these are the same size. Then we'll lift out the little plate that's on top of these cables. Actually, no, this one is attached to the cable for the LCD. So I'm going to lift this up gently, just the LCD cable portion. Now the LCD is out. Put that to the side. I'll take another tool and replace this so that we still don't have any connection. I like to remove the connector for the home button. Lift up this little jaw connector, slide that out, lift the cable out, then disconnect the two digitizer cables. They fit in like Lego pieces, so you just pop them up and they'll come right out. And we have our glass out. Like at this point, I just clean up everything that's on here. Use some heat to then we'll get our microfiber cloth and some alcohol, and then we'll clean up the edges. So spray that down with 91 to 99% isopropyl alcohol and just gently go over the portion that the tape was on. You want to get off as much of this as you can. Alright, so let's put that aside. Oh, still got some adhesive on the back. Let's just switch focus to the home button. So we have to get this off and put it onto the new glass, or we will lose our Touch ID. So what I like to do is heat up the glass. This is the line for the home button. Heat that up. So that's been lifted, and I like to rotate out the home button, at least the bracket that's behind it, and then lift out the home button. Slowly put up on the cable while everything's still warm, just gently. Now we have the home button out. I'm going to add this to the new glass. The adhesive on here is still sticky. So our new glass here. I'm going to remove the little tape that's covering the connector. See, this glass that I buy actually comes with a dust filter around the edge, so I lift up one side and I put that over because I have to now take the cables here and adhere it to this little copper line that's on the glass. So even with that, you want to slightly lift up the protective tape that protects the inside of the glass from fingerprints and dust. Very gently remove the adhesive on the cable and fold it over. Take the other side, take that adhesive off and fold this one over as well. Just want to line it up, make sure it's there. So we have our cable installed. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the same fiber strip that keeps the dust out. We're going to put that back in place. That's going to lay right on top of the cable where it was before. Nice little dust shield. All right, we got that laid down there. I'm going to install the home button. Take this black circle out. Just going to take our home button and lay it right inside of this section. We're going to line up our back plate. There's a little circle on that. We're going to line that up over the little button that's on the back of the home button. Just going to press this in. And we have adhesion here. I like to take up this little foam tape here. I like to remove the bottom strip that's protecting the double-sided adhesive that goes onto the frame. I remove that just so I can have a portion of this cable stuck down. And now what I do is use hot glue on these corners to keep it in, but it seems that my hot glue gun is no longer working. It has worked with me for 4 years now. 4 going on 5. Took it from my wife. She doesn't miss it. I might take another one. If she watches this, she'll know. I doubt she'll watch. This doesn't pique her interest. But I'll take some hot glue. What I'm going to do now, being that my hot glue gun is not working, I'm going to take some heat from my heat gun. I'm just going to go over these 2 glue globs here, these pieces, and just melt it. As we can see, that has moved. So maybe I'll just do one at a time. I'm going to hold it in place with my tweezer. Trying to get from the edge of the plate to that tape. Once it starts to melt, I can move it away. Just keep that moving. We don't want to keep it in one spot. Just keep that moving. And it'll start to melt. Start moving it around a little. Go there. Take the other side, put it down here. Move that around some. It's going to start to stick. And it's sticking on there. We're going to move this around, make sure it's on the glass and on the button. Come from this side. Just going to lift this up. Just going to put this where we need it to be. Now this is going to add extra strength to the home button. Alright, so we have the hot glue in place. It's on the glass and the back plate for the home button. So on both sides, it's going to add extra strength. Once that gets cold and it cools down, it'll be just as strong, actually stronger than what Apple uses. But even at this time, you want to make sure that you have everything lined up and centered properly over your home button. Move this around slightly a little bit. And just wait for that to cool down. Alright, so now we've got to cool down some. Glass is still slightly warm, but that's fine. We're going to move on to installing this into the iPad now. So to make sure you still have your battery disconnected, slide under the board. And the easiest thing to do is to remove the cover on the tape. We're going to remove that. I'm going to remove all of them actually. Be careful now because this tape is ready to stick to whatever it touches. Don't let any dust get on it. So we're going to line up the glass how it was prior to. We're going to line it up over here. We're going to connect our home button. This just lift up the jaw on this connector, slide it in. Use to make sure it's all the way in, and then we clip it down. Just double check, make sure. That's all the way in. So now that's connected. The little tape that was over it, we'll put that tape back just to keep it from lifting up. Now we're going to connect our cables for the digitizer. They line up right over. Just take your time, don't need to rush this. They connect like Legos. So you just want to move it around gently until it stops. This is probably the hardest part. But move around, and you push down with your thumb or your finger. You'll feel it click. Do this with the other one. Move it around until we feel like it's aligned. Gently push on it. Don't want to force anything. And clip right in. We're going to rest our glass here. Obviously prop it up. Because now we have to put in that LCD. You want to clean off your LCD with a soft microfiber cloth. Something soft, clean, gentle. If you have an air duster, you can use that, compressed air. I'm going to get that. Be very gentle. Just gently get the dust off, put that to the side. Now on this model, the back plate is slightly has adhesive on the cable here, but you can always take this off. Let's just do that. So gently hold the cable and then lift on the the cover. You want to separate them. Make it easier. Slightly heat the back side of the cable of the cover. Not too much heat, and you could start moving it side to side and you feel it release. Side to side. Keep holding the cable so you could have tension here. You don't want to pull on this too much. So this cable doesn't want to release. Keep this up a little more. We go again. Hold the cable. Take that shield off. Probably the scariest thing you do, but it'll also help you. So now what we're going to do is going to line up the cable over the connector. Don't want to pull on the cable from the back of the screen, but you want to make sure it's lined up. You connect that over and you push it down. That's connected there. You can take your shield and you line that up. Slide it into place, and you'll see it line up right over the 3 holes that are there. Take your screws and you screw that back in. So all three of those are in. Now we're going to remove our spudger or our battery disconnection tool if you have that. And we're going to put in our cable for the battery and the board. So this is the longer screw. Turn till it stops. You don't need to add any extra force. I'm just going to lay this back where it was. I'm going to wipe off our screen. Just gently, circular motions with the microfiber cloth. Gently wipe it down. Let's power it on. Got the Apple logo, just waiting for it to boot up, and we can slightly test it while it's open. So with iPads, you definitely want to get the passcode from your customers so you can make sure that the touch function is working everywhere. Press the home button, make sure that's clicking. Home button clicks. Unlocked. Let's swipe side to side. Seems to be working. Strain off. Put the screws back in the corners. Very gentle until they stop. You don't need to torque these down, anything crazy, just to hold it in place. Turn, turn, turn. Stop. As soon as you feel it get snug, that's it. Snug, stop. You want to be careful with this bottom corner over here because there's no real support underneath it. So turn, as soon as it stops, that's it. Gentle. That's it. I'm going to remove the inner cover that's protecting the inside of the glass. Hit this one time with an air duster or compressed air. Fold this over, make sure your cables aren't pinched. You start with the back half where the cables are. You want to line up everything. Make sure that's sitting well first. And then you can do the other side. Take your cloth and you slightly push against the edges. I say heat it up a little bit more just so that you can activate that adhesive as well. Being that I have hot glue, I have a little gap down here, so this adds extra strength as well. So what I do is heat up the front of the glass just right here to make heat that up, lay it down, hold that in place, take our adhesive, or take our microfiber cloth, go over the edges, heat around the iPad as well to get that We have an iPad up and running, everything tested out. We have the white glass with the black home button. It's real classy. But this one's good to go.